Are there some pieces that, after all these years, still really grab your attention?
Yes, because I found it so important and meaningful, was a contemporary artwork installation by Musgamagw Dzawada'enuxw Kwakwaka'wakw artist Marianne Nicolson called "Even Though I'm the Last, I Still Count." And what was exciting about this artwork for me was it was actually an installation that Marianne did in 2000 at the Museum of Anthropology, where she surrounded two paintings, which include photographic images of her family as children, with 8 bee masks that were made in her community of Kwak'wakakwa'w or Kingcome Inlet, British Columbia. These bee masks were made in 1938 by Dick and Sam Hawkins in Kwak'wakakwa'w for the Willie family. And what she does in her installation that I found so significant is that she took these two paintings, which are about this inherited prerogative of a bee dance, a children's dance, and she surrounded the paintings with the 8 bee masks that had been sold to the Museum of Anthropology by the Indigenous owners in 1962. And the point she was making was that even though the physical masks were sold to the museum at the agency and the choice of the owners, new masks could be made, and the prerogative of dancing this bee dance had not been sold to the Museum of Anthropology.
Oh, and so when people are looking at that work from Marianne, what is it that they're seeing that she created?
She created 2 framed works, which include in the center, there are photographic images of, I believe, her mother and her mother's siblings as children, surrounded by wolf and copper imagery. And the wolves are the originary crests of the people from Kingcome Inlet. So it's a combination of photography and paintwork, and then surrounded by the bees.
And why do you think she chose the bumblebee masks?
What I love about her choice of the bumblebee masks is that while bees are not a significant crest among Indigenous peoples on the Northwest Coast, bees are communal creatures. And while this particular dance is actually what's known as a children's dance, so it's not sacred or very highly symbolic, but what's lovely about it is it's a dance where children are allowed to come down into the arena of the big house onto the floor and dance. And the story is that it's a bee family, a mother bee and a father bee and baby bees and children bees, and they all dance on the floor. And then at the end, when they're going back into their hive, one of the little bees is missing. And so the father or the mother bee come back out on the floor and search the audience until they find that last bee and bring that bee home. And why I love that story is they say, even if this is a children's dance, even if this is the youngest little bee, this bee is still significant to the family and needs to be brought home. Bees are communal creatures. They are a society who can talk to each other and co-create food together and keep each other healthy. And we know that bees actually are incredibly important for our environment in order to pollinate our plants and grow food for us as human beings. And so I love that she chose what seems like a small, tiny, insignificant insect, but really it's a message about how we're all connected and that every part of a family or a community is important and needs to be protected and cared for equally.
Oh, and in the museum, what part of the museum do people see it? Like, is it a section where it relates to other things too?
Yes. We have an area called the Multiversity Galleries. It's a combined hybrid space of storage and display where different curators worked with the communities of origin, the communities who carved and made these pieces and who also have ongoing connections to them. So it's in the kwak'wakakwa'w section, and it's on an open platform. Most important about it is that it's not under glass, that it's on an open platform, and it talks about contemporary connections between historical pieces and artists and cultural knowledge holders in the communities now. It's making the point that what you're seeing in the Museum of Anthropology is not something from the past. It's not some abstract aestheticization. These are very beautiful objects, very beautiful artworks aesthetically, but they have ongoing real connections to real people, and that these prerogatives, which in this case, it's a specific children's dance, are still being danced in the community during the proper ceremonies and potlatches held in the community. And so seeing this artwork or installation, if you want to call it that, what it tells the visitor is that these are real ongoing processes about real people, and that they're privileged to see a glimpse of what people's real lives are like in British Columbia today.
That's an amazing message, that idea of connection and separation, because it kind of echoes too in the museum itself, these things that we might think are separated from the communities they came from. In some ways they are, because here they are in the museum. And yet the whole message of this piece is about connection.
Absolutely. I agree. And what I think the work does when it's on display at the museum as an installation, the two photographic paintings with the 8 bead masks surrounding it, is that it includes the museum audience to be part of that message and makes them realize that this real work of connection is ongoing and that they're part of it too. They aren't just lookers, passive viewers looking at somebody else's heritage. We're all in this together in this time of pandemic, and that we have to be responsible for each other. And so there's a looking back, but there's also we're in this together. So yeah, I think it is a really lovely installation, and I think it's incredibly applicable 20 years after it was designed. And made in 1938, the original bees, but this is a message that goes back way far in time and into the future.
Well, thanks so much for telling us about that, Jennifer. I think people will be really eager to come and see that piece once the museum opens again.
You're very welcome. And of course, you are able to see the individual elements of the installation online at the Museum of Anthropology Collections Access Terminals online.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot, Jennifer.